Hi, I'm Ben from Universal Audio, and today I'm going to be showing you a few tricks using the UAD DBX160 compressor limiter. Now the DBX is famous for its aggressive and kind of gritty sound, as well as its ease of use. Let me show you a few ways I like to use it on tracks. Now the place you're most likely to find a DBX160 compressor in my mix sessions is on a parallel drum bus. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's my dry drum bus with just a little bit of oxide tape on it for flavor. Sounds like drums, right? Now here is my parallel drum bus with a DBX160 on the factory default setting. Let's listen to what that sounds like. The great thing about doing this in parallel is I can exaggerate this effect. I can really clamp it down so I'm getting this solid, gritty room tone and then these smacks of transients from the kick and the snare and the toms. So now let's hear this in context. I'm going to unmute my clean drum bus. I'm going to pull the fader down for my parallel drum bus with the 160 on it and slowly fade that in until I get just the right amount of flavor that I'm looking for. So there I'm getting presence and aggression and a nice room sound, all with just clean drums and a DBX160. Now, for comparison, let me turn off the parallel compression and I'll turn it back on. See, that just adds the right amount of life to those drums. Honestly, this plugin just stays on every mix I use for drums. It's that good. All right, moving on to bass. Once again, I've pulled up the DBX160 compressor using the factory default preset. Let's hear how it sounds. That sounds pretty good already. You can hear how it's clamping down on the bass, but it's still letting the pick attack through. That's why people love the DBX160 on bass. It lets all the transients of the fingers or the pick come through, but then it holds the bass in a just tight little spot. Now, I can hear I'm already losing a little bit of gain, so I'm going to bring that up. And also, this might be an excessive amount of compression. We're hitting like 10 to 20 dBs, and it actually might sound a little more open, a little more human if I use a little bit less compression. So I have two ways of doing that. Again, I can change the threshold, or I can lower the ratio of the compression. I'm going to go for a little bit less ratio, just so it doesn't clamp down on it so hard. We're still getting the consistency and kind of that tone and attitude from the DBX. Let's hear what it sounds like without. And with. So you can definitely hear how it just creates a very consistent, very even sounding performance, which is exactly what I was looking for in this case. DBX160 does it again. All right, now let me show you what it sounds like on some acoustic guitars. Again, another source similar to bass, where I want lots of transient, lots of attack, but I also want a little bit more consistency and maybe, a little bit of a compressed tone to it. Let me play this acoustic guitar with no effect on it. It's not too bad. It's got a nice open tone to it, but you can kind of hear there's some like peaks and valleys and just ebbs and flows to the performance. Now, in a dense rock mix, if I have acoustic guitars, the odds of them getting buried behind the drums and electric guitars are it's 100%. So to bring this acoustic guitar more forward in the mix, I'm going to use the DBX160 to hold in place, let those transients come through, and it's going to help it really pop out of the mix. So once again, I've loaded up the DBX160 factory default preset. I'm just going to start tweaking it as we listen. So again, just like with the bass, I dialed back the compression ratio, I moved the threshold around just a little bit, and now I'm getting compression, I'm getting it held in one spot, but without sounding like it's squashed and just wringing the life out of it. Still feels like a beautiful acoustic guitar. You're just now going to be able to hear this over the drums, bass, electric guitars, vocals, everything else that's going on in the mix. Let me play it for you one more time without compression. Now with. Now that's much better. So that's a couple examples of how I like to use the UAD DBX 160 compressor limiter. As you can see, it's a really easy to use plugin. It's got a great sound to it. And on drums, guitars, bass, it just adds a lot of life, presence, and consistency to a performance, which is exactly what I'm looking for in a compressor. So you can learn more about this and other UA products at uaudio.com. And if you're an Apollo or UAD hardware owner, you can actually demo this plugin right now for 14 days. Throw it on some drums, see how you like it, and I guarantee you won't be disappointed. All right, see you later.